Rajiv had left for a 5-day business trip, something that had become routine over the years. Arjun stayed home this time, citing upcoming exams. I didn't question it. The house felt quieter than usual, but I tried to keep things normal: cook, clean, work, and maintain a polite distance. Still, his eyes followed me. He lingered when I entered a room, offered to help with chores I didn't need help with, and asked unnecessary questions about my day. One night, I woke up around midnight and stepped out of my room to grab some water. As I walked past the hallway, I noticed Arjun's phone lighting up with a message. I wouldn't have looked, but my name caught my eye on the preview. My hands trembled as I picked it up. The message read, "I think about you every night. I know you feel it too. Don't deny it." My heart sank. I scrolled further. There were several unsent messages written to me, but never delivered. He'd saved them in drafts. Pages of emotions, romantic fantasies, and suggestions that we were meant to be together. My body froze. The air around me felt heavier. It wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. It was a complete emotional delusion. I put the phone down and returned to my room, locking the door behind me. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, battling disbelief, fear, betrayal. How had things reached this point without me seeing it clearly? The next morning, I confronted him. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I asked one question. "Do you have feelings for me?" He didn't deny it. His face, instead, looked relieved, like he'd been waiting for the moment. He admitted he had felt this way for years, said he believed our connection was deeper than that of a typical mother and son. He told me he never meant to disrespect me, but that his emotions had grown uncontrollably. I didn't respond for a long time. I sat there, absorbing every word, every misplaced affection. Then I told him firmly and clearly that what he felt was not love. It was confusion, obsession, and deeply inappropriate. I reminded him of my role in his life, of the trust we had built, and how deeply he had broken it. He looked shattered, but I couldn't let that sway me. I told him we needed space, he needed help, and that I could no longer live in this environment without firm boundaries. He apologized over and over again, cried, even begged for forgiveness. But no apology could erase the violation of trust. I retreated to my room, locked the door, and finally let myself cry, mourning not just the betrayal, but the loss of the relationship I thought we had. Everything I believed about our family had just been rewritten, and there was no going back. I knew this was the moment where everything had to change, for my peace, for my safety, and for what was left of the life I had built. May 7th, 9:05 p.m., Fahad Ali Baloch. The morning after our confrontation, I packed a small bag and left the house. I didn't tell Arjun where I was going, and I didn't answer his messages. I stayed with a friend for a few days, needing time to think clearly. My trust had been shattered, and I couldn't pretend things could return to normal. I wrestled with guilt, anger, and sadness, not because of anything I had done, but because something I had poured love into had turned into something unsafe. I debated whether to tell Rajiv. Would he believe me? Would he blame me? But hiding it felt like continuing the damage. Rajiv had a right to know what was happening in his home. When he returned, I asked him to meet me outside, away from the house. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I told him exactly what had happened, what I had found on Arjun's phone, what Arjun had admitted, and how long the signs had been building. At first, Rajiv was silent. Then, disbelief took over. He accused me of misinterpreting things, said Arjun was just emotionally confused, maybe acting out. But when I showed him a screenshot I had saved of the messages, his expression changed. Pain crossed his face. Not anger, just devastation. It wasn't just about me. It was the realization that his son, the boy he had raised with so much hope, had crossed a boundary that couldn't be undone. Rajiv apologized repeatedly. He said he never imagined this. I could tell he was torn between loyalty to his son and the woman who had helped rebuild his family. I didn't demand any decisions from him. I only told him I couldn't live in the same house as Arjun again. To his credit, Rajiv acted. He had a serious conversation with Arjun and arranged for him to move in with his maternal uncle temporarily. He also found a therapist to help Arjun work through his confusion and emotional boundaries. There was no yelling, no drama, just a quiet, heartbreaking understanding that things had changed forever. As for me, I started therapy too, not just to process the betrayal, but to rebuild my sense of security. I had always seen myself as a nurturing presence, someone who brought peace to a broken family. And while I still believed in that, I also recognized the importance of protecting my own emotional space. In time, Rajiv and I began to heal, but the damage left its mark. Our relationship was never quite the same. Trust isn't easily rebuilt after such a rupture. Arjun occasionally wrote letters of apology, but I chose not to respond. I needed distance, and I owed myself that. This experience taught me that love, especially the love we offer as family, must have boundaries. Trust is powerful, but once broken, it rewrites everything. I never stopped wishing the best for Arjun. But I also never forgot the moment I realized that even love can turn when it is misunderstood, unchecked, and left to grow in silence. When I first married Rajiv, I never imagined the bond I'd form with his son, Arjun. Rajiv was a kind, grounded man who had lost his first wife years ago. Arjun was 16 at the time, quiet, polite, and clearly still healing. I entered their lives with a sense of responsibility, unsure if I'd ever be accepted as more than a stranger in their home. I didn't try to take his mother's place. I just tried to be there. Small steps, helping him with homework, making his favorite meals, showing up at his school events, began to soften the distance between us. Over time, that bond deepened in ways I never anticipated. Arjun became the son I never had. We talk about everything: school, friends, life. I watched him grow from a guarded teenager into a confident young man. He trusted me. He asked for advice when he had a crush, smiled when I praised him, and even remembered the dates I had important meetings. When he topped his college entrance exams, he credited me alongside his father. That day, I cried with pride. Rajiv, always working hard to maintain his business, was away often. He'd be gone for days, sometimes weeks. I never blamed him. He was doing everything for us. But his absence meant more time alone with Arjun, and for years, that never seemed like an issue. I looked forward to our late-night talks and dinners together. I thought we were just a happy, blended family. People would even say, "He treats you like his real mom," and that warmed my heart. There were no warning signs, at least not that I could see. He respected boundaries, or so I believed. He would pick up groceries when I was busy, fix things around the house, remind me to take my vitamins, and even call me if I came home late from work. I chalked it up to being thoughtful. That's what I'd raised him to be. I didn't question it. If anything, I felt incredibly lucky to have a stepson who showed me so much care. Friends admired our relationship. "You're doing an amazing job," they'd say. I believed I had found the perfect balance between being a stepmother and a trusted friend. Our family was finally stable, warm, and built on trust. That trust was everything to me. It made all the effort worth it. I remember one night during a small family dinner, Arjun surprised me with a handmade card for my birthday. It had pictures of us from over the years, quotes about mothers, and a message that said, "You've been my light in the darkest times." I was deeply touched. That evening, I told Rajiv, "We must have done something right." Rajiv smiled, held my hand, and nodded. Looking back now, I realized that moment marked the height of our happiness and the beginning of something I never saw coming. Because sometimes, the people we trust the most carry the secrets we're least prepared to uncover. May 7th, 9:04 p.m., Fahad Ali Baloch. Things began to change subtly, almost too quietly to notice at first. Arjun started hovering around more than usual. He'd finish his college classes and come straight home, often without explanation. He would sit unusually close on the couch, stay longer in the kitchen when I cooked, and join conversations that didn't involve him. At first, I thought he was just enjoying our bond, but the tone of his voice shifted. Compliments became more personal, commenting on how I looked, how my perfume lingered in a room, how no one understood him the way I did. It caught me off guard. I brushed it off as a phase. Maybe he was just trying to be more affectionate. But then I noticed him watching me, not just watching but observing.
Tracking.
His gaze lingered too long. He memorized things I didn't expect anyone to notice. If I changed my hairstyle, he'd mention it immediately. If I wore something different, he'd say I looked stunning. The word didn't sit right coming from him. There was something unfamiliar in his tone, something I didn't want to name. One evening, he offered to massage my shoulders because I looked stressed. I laughed it off, said I was fine. He insisted, his hand already reaching out. I stepped back, uncomfortable. His smile faltered and he apologized, saying he was only trying to help. I nodded, but my mind was spinning. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment, wondering if I was overthinking. I didn't want to accuse him of something if it was innocent, but the unease was growing. I started noticing other patterns. He'd interrupt my calls with Rajiv by asking irrelevant questions. If I made plans to meet friends, he'd suddenly claim he wasn't feeling well. He wanted me home near him. It wasn't normal anymore. It felt possessive, calculated. Still, I tried to reason with myself. Maybe he was lonely. Maybe he just missed his father. I shared my concerns with a close friend. She listened quietly, then said something that stuck with me. Affection is one thing. Obsession is another. Be careful. I began to keep more distance, cautiously polite but no longer open like before. I skipped our usual movie nights. I kept my bedroom door locked. But the atmosphere in the house had shifted. The warmth was thinning, replaced by a tension I couldn't ignore. Our June grew quieter, but not distant. His presence was still everywhere, silent, watching, waiting. I avoided confrontation, hoping the phase would pass. But deep down, I sensed something had taken root in his mind that couldn't be undone. What was once trust had turned into discomfort. What was once care now felt like intrusion. I didn't have proof of anything solid, but my instincts were screaming. And soon, I would find out just how right they were. The illusion of our perfect family was already cracking, and the truth waiting beneath it would change everything.